What's up everyone, this is Donnie aka Elevated with another video on behalf of Dota Alchemy, and this one is going to be a really fun one for me to do because we're going to be taking a look at how Team Liquid intentionally loses the early game. Also, this video is brought to you by Skillshare, who is a new partner that we are very excited to be working with. And we're going to learn a little bit more about them in a minute. But let's go ahead and jump right into this video. We're going to take a look at a couple games that Liquid played at the MDL Major where they pick Medusa and they get destroyed in the early game. And of course, this creates a very hype game because it's like, oh my god, Liquid they have to come back from so far behind. But I want to take a little bit closer look at their strategy. I also think that it's really important to understand that while we have focused so heavily on the importance of the laning stage in Dota for so many years now, and while the laning stage is incredibly important, and while if you snowball from the laning stage in your pubs, you can definitely win a lot of games, Liquid demonstrates that it doesn't really matter at the end of the day if you have a good game plan for dealing with a bad laning stage. So ultimately, the Liquid strategy starts in the draft, and in this game, they actually first two picked Drow Medusa, and that means that they are going to get counterpicked. The trade-off for this is that Liquid is going to have an awful top lane. In this case, they put Mind Control in the top lane with the Drow, which actually gives them a little bit more kill threat. The Rubik would just get run over by these two heroes, and so sacrificing Mind Control ends up being sort of for the greater good of the game, because it allows GH to have some more power in this game in the long run. This sort of fits with the theme that I'm trying to cover in this video, which is that Liquid, when they pick the Medusa, they are expecting to lose the early game. But most of the time, Medusa wants to basically just play very statically until she has a Scotty, and then at that point, she is ready to start fighting with her team. So as you can see here, Medusa Man is actually getting the worst of this entire trade-off. He's level 4 at 6 minutes into the game and is 1-3. Normally, that's not a good sign, right? Your carry dies 3 times in the laning stage. However, look at GH. He's level 6 at 6 minutes into this game, and he's actually making a play on this anti-mage with the Drow. And even though it doesn't work out, it just shows that because GH is so far ahead of where he would be normally, he becomes a very dangerous hero on this map, and he's going to be able to help alleviate some of the pressure. Also, another thing about this that's kind of interesting is they have 2 heroes that want to play in this triangle. They have the Drow and they have the Medusa. And so Miracle is doing Medusa things, but that means what is Medusa Man supposed to do? And ultimately, it almost works out a little bit better that Medusa Man is having such a terrible early game because it leaves the triangle open for Medusa during this portion of the game where Medusa wants to be farming the triangle. Most important point to note is that while the kill score is 13-3 and 6 of those deaths are on the safe lane hero, which is the Drow Ranger, Medusa has 0 deaths. And Medusa also has the most last hits in the entire game by 40 over an anti-mage with a Battle Fury. And all they really have to do is just allow Pain to go on the Medusa and then just dump all of their resources, all of their big spells, all their team fight onto the Medusa to protect her. And Pain is going to have a very hard time actually bringing her down. We see here that Liquid is making a play into the enemy jungle. They're looking for the anti-mage. And this is a little bit optimistic in terms of a gank, and I would almost go as far as to say that this is just an intentional feed by Liquid because they really don't have the damage to kill any heroes. If they find one hero completely alone with no backup, they can bring them down because they have enough control and magic damage. However, the fact that they're taking this on the shrine of Pain leads me to believe that this is basically just a space creation play because look at where Drow is. Drow's in the bottom lane, completely alone, completely uncontested. Medusa is way back over here, away from her team. So you can see that Miracle picks up this Scotty, and this is the moment at which it becomes almost impossible for Pain to kill her and almost impossible for Pain to fight into the Medusa. everybody else is just going to be camping behind the Medusa. So we see Liquid, they smoke up, they put the Medusa on the front lines, and then Miracle basically just walks down a lane. And you see that they make a call. They're like, all right, wait for this next creep wave. Miracle, again, way in front of his team. And sure enough, somebody from Pain shows up to de-push this wave. Ends up being the TA, who's a pretty important hero. And boom. I almost would say that Kuroki has decided to try and play Dota in a way that is basically like One Punch Man. They want to win one fight, and then that's it. They're trying to get to this point with the Medusa where all they have to do is win one engagement, and then the game is over. Liquid has gotten this game to a point where Medusa is impossible for Pain to kill in the context of a 5-on-5 engagement, and they're able to turn a single kill into a high ground push because they have the ability to kill buildings with the Drow Ranger and the Medusa together. I know a lot of you are probably like, well, this is Pain versus Liquid. You know, they're different calibers of team. And while that might be true, the game plan itself is what really matters. And that's why I want to look at a second example of a game that happened even more recently against what most people would probably agree is a even better team in Vici Gaming. So before we get into our second example of how Liquid plays the Medusa, we're going to take a quick look at Skillshare, who's sponsoring this video. And Skillshare is an amazing platform that helps you better yourself, basically. And to be honest, that's why we're all here, right? That's why we want to learn about Dota. That's why we want to learn about all these concepts, because we want to get better at it. And the great thing about Skillshare is, just like our content here on the YouTube channel, there is stuff for people of all skill levels. So whether you're a beginner trying to learn the basics of After Effects, in my case, this is probably where I'm going to start. And one thing that I was immediately impressed with is the quality of the videos on Skillshare. They are edited well, they are structured well, and that is obviously something that helps quite a bit with the learning process. And to be honest, that's really the only reason that we wanted to work with Skillshare, is that it's a platform that helps people get better at whatever it is they want to do in life. We get questions all the time from people asking how to get into making video game videos. How do I become a YouTuber? How do I get into esports? How do I acquire these skills necessary to do what you guys do? And the answer is basically, learn as much knowledge as possible and then apply it and try things out. We kind of live in an age where self-education is the fastest way to get better at the things that you want to learn. For somebody like me, I went to school not really knowing what I wanted to do later on in life. And so I just took a bunch of random classes, spent a lot of money on my student loans, and ultimately came out of college with most of the knowledge that I now use to produce these videos and do what I do. Stuff that I taught myself after class by looking on the internet for tutorials and resources on YouTube. And the best part of why I'm telling you about Skillshare right now is that you can try it out for 2 months completely for free using our link in the description below. And because I know that you guys are the type of people who really just want to acquire as much knowledge as possible, just give it a try. Pick a course, pick a hobby that you've been putting off trying because you weren't sure how to get started, and see if it's on Skillshare and just give it a shot. Who knows? Maybe you'll fall in love with producing music or become the next best graphic designer. With that being said, let's get back into the Dota content. Let's get back into something that I actually know what I'm talking about. Once again, we see that Miracle is on the Medusa. And it's pretty clear that Liquid was intending to play this game in a much slower pace because their first 2 picks were Earthshaker and Jakiro. That indicates to me that they are just trying to play extremely defensively in the first 20 minutes and then look to, again, probably take that one fight, which is going to turn the game and ultimately give them an advantage to win the game. Now, one thing about this game that's a little bit different than the Pain game is that Vici is a better team. And as such, they realize that Medusa is not a good early game hero. And so they're going to punish Miracle extremely, extremely hard in this early game. And they have the heroes to do so with the Kunkka and then their Nature's Prophet. They have basically a bunch of very good early fighting heroes on their team. Miracle's going to come back to the lane and they're going to kill Miracle again. You see DY wrapping around. They have Kunkka, who's over leveled. And so this is a really important time here on the 5-minute mark. Miracle's already died twice, and he's not having a very good early game because of the rotations. He's supposed to be protecting this tower, but because of how aggressive Vici are able to be with this Nature's Prophet and overleveled Kunkka, they're going to kill Miracle a third time in the first 5 minutes of the game. So obviously, this is a bit of a different start than the previous one where he just free farmed for the entire time. And again, I need to emphasize the importance of holding this mid-tier 1 tower, because they're going to run into a lot of problems with Vici just running into their jungle and shutting down the Medusa's farm. So this is a pretty important moment where Liquid is going to rotate in a bunch of heroes to respond to this gank, because if they lose the Medusa a 4th time, it's going to be pretty rough. She's going to have a pretty hard time recovering because the towers are going to be down as well. But you can see that with the help of the Jakiro and the Earthshaker, as well as Matumba Man's Razor, they have a pretty good defensive package to keep this Medusa alive. And I want to be clear, Liquid is not an infallible team. They will make mistakes from time to time. And right here, Miracle makes one of those that potentially could lose them the game by getting picked off by this RP. However, I do want to point out that the amount of resources that were expended to get this kill does make a difference, because this all happens before there are creeps hitting their racks. And that's really important, because now Vici has to wait for their creeps to come catch up, which means they can't get any structural damage on Liquid's base. Sure, they have the tier 3, but they don't have any racks yet, and that's really important. However, we're going to see here that Liquid completely understands the style of Dota that they're playing, and this is why I titled this video, Why Liquid Intentionally Loses the Early Game. Because, look at this. Look at their itemization. You've got a Crimson Guard on the Beastmaster. He didn't go for anything else. He just went Crimson Guard because he wants to, keep the racks alive and also provide this high physical resist to heroes against Kunkka and PA and Nature's Prophet. Then we have GH with the Blink Dagger. Of course, he's got Max Fissure, Kuroki, 3 points in Ith Path, 4 points in Dual Breath. He's not going for an aggressive pushy build. He's going for a strictly de-pushing defensive build on the Shikiro. And then we have Razor, who is struggling to get this BKB, but the intention is there to be very defensive as well. And right here, Vici, they have the Aegis. They're ready to push high ground. They smoke into Liquid's base, and they're going to go on Kuroki. And look at Kuroki. He's just sitting here. He says, go on me. Kill me. Spend resources on killing me. I do not matter. He's going to drop the Macropyre, which is going to kill this creep wave. He's going to soak up a bunch of resources, and he's going to get Paparazzi in a location where Matumba Man can start draining his damage. And that's what happens. Now, Paparazzi does have a double damage, so this is still pretty scary. This is like as bad a situation as it could possibly be for Liquid because of that mistake with Miracle having to buy back and this double damage on the Aegis PA. However, you can see how this game plan is starting to come together. We've got the creep wave dead, which means that there's no damage being done to the racks. We've got Paparazzi with minus 224 damage, Matumba Man doing his job. Kuroki is dead, but he's already done his job. He's de-pushed the wave and he soaked a bunch of spells. There's no RP because that was used to kill the Medusa over here to set this play up. And now we have Miracle. Still no Scotty, unfortunately, but he does have Stone Gaze. And GH is going to perfectly take advantage of the fact that Liquid is kiting Paparazzi deeper and deeper and deeper into their base. So massive Echo Slam. Paparazzi dies at the exact same time, so Aegis is now popped, and that means that Miracle can now enter the fight, run forward, Stone Gaze, and start killing off these weaker heroes in the backline. And now the fight is split. Paparazzi's stuck in the base. The Magnus is dead. And I really, really, really just want to emphasize, look at this. No damage on the racks. And you can just kind of see that Vici Gaming are running out of steam. Sure, they have a PA who got her damage back because she died, but they don't really have any resources. Their mana is low. They've kind of used all of their stuff already, and that just allows Liquid to basically just play in this ball around the Medusa and keep her alive, and as a result, keep their racks alive. So this fight is a pretty big turning point because it just shows that Liquid have the ability to start taking these fights. And you know how I was talking about earlier that Liquid seems to be playing in this way where they decided that they just want to take one fight to win the game. They only need one fight to win the game. That's just kind of how Dota is. If you have heroes that will hit racks, they've got a Beastmaster Medusa and Jakiro, then all you really need is one fight at the right place at the right time, and you can definitely win the game. So right here, Vici looking to secure their lead with their 11k by grabbing the Aegis and Cheese. This is a very crucial moment. So I want to pay very close attention to the positioning of how Liquid's taking this fight. They put Matumba Man on the front line because he has a BKB and he is less important than Medusa. So they would like for him to have spells used on him. But Vici, being a very good team, they have positioned Fade back here with an Invis rune, which sets him up for an amazing RP on 3 very important heroes. However, look at this over here. There is no follow-up damage for this RP into boat combo because GH solo Echo Slams Paparazzi. So because GH is able to get that Echo Slam and stunlock Paparazzi for almost the entire duration of the RP, there's no way that they can burst the Medusa. And that means that Miracle is going to be able to get off Stone Gaze. And once Miracle gets Stone Gaze, there is no way that you can kill the Medusa. Again, Matumba Man linking the PA. This means that there is going to be very, very little damage for the remainder of the fight. And you can see here that they're even struggling to kill Mind Control and the Beastmaster, who has been locked down for this entire time. Paparazzi getting low. Look at Miracle. Full HP, full mana, grabs the Aegis on top of that. And this is the fight that decides the game, because now you have a Medusa who is already unkillable, and you have to kill her twice. Potentially even 3 times, because they're going to give him the cheese as well, which was picked up on Kuroku's Jakiro. So Liquid is able to regain a bunch of their gold deficit, and they get some more map control. And, you know, sure, they didn't win the game off of one single fight. They're going to take 2 fights, but the fight selection and where they're taking this fight and when they're taking this fight is the most important part. We see Miracle. He says, hey guys, they just smoked. They have this ward, which probably caught them. Let's wait high ground. We're strong. I'm going to bait myself. I have cheese. There's no way they can kill me. This is where we end the game. And look, the creep waves are in pretty good spots for them to take a good push off of this fight. Also, I believe Paparazzi does not have buyback at this point in the game. He does not. Again, positioning, GH waiting in the wings with his defensive capabilities. Kuroki's running there as fast as possible, somewhat out of position, but Matumba Man also just waiting for Paparazzi to go in. So right here, they go on Miracle. They throw a bunch of resources onto him. Matumba Man pops the BKB, runs in, waits for the Low Orb to end, and then he's going to static link up Paparazzi's PA. They're taking a ton of damage. They almost burst Miracle. The Crimson Guard is helping. GH's Echo Slam comes in, saves the day yet again. Miracle is going to be able to get off the cheese. And all this time, PA's damage is being sucked away by Matumba Man. So now, how is Vici Gaming supposed to win this fight? The answer is they simply can't. They've used all of their resources. They weren't able to kill the Medusa because she's just too tanky. She has too many defensive teammates and items surrounding her. And as a result, Liquid is going to take this game by killing Paparazzi, running down the mid lane, and just ending the game with their tower push that's provided by the Beastmaster and the Medusa. Hello everyone, and thank you for watching the video. We genuinely appreciate your time and attention spent with us here on the YouTube channel.